Alrighty.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am with Chuck Hillig, who is author of numerous books on non-duality, and he lives in Orange County, Virginia. Is it okay to say that?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Do you want to reveal your age, Chuck? He's 23.
I'm actually the ageless one.
He's the ageless one, exactly.
But I'm closer, I'll put it this way, I'm closer to 74 than I am to 73.
Oh, okay. I can figure that math out. I think
Do the math.
I think I can. I think I'm there. And Chuck and I know each other from the local meetup groups in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Right.
And so it's awesome that I've finagled Chuck into doing this video interview.
Well, here we go.
We're gonna sit here and talk about nothing.
Nothing.
That's what we've determined to do. So I hope that this is fun for you and fun for us. We will see. So, Mr. Hillig, let's get serious.
Shri
Hillig.
Shri Chuck, right?
Shri Chuck, yeah,
All right.
exactly. So the benefits of nothing on a daily basis. What are the benefits of being, knowing that you're nothing on a daily basis?
Well, I remember there's a great quote from Oscar Wilde, and he said, "I love talking about nothing. It's the only thing I know anything about."
Yeah.
And, you know, what is there to talk about, really? The moment that you talk is the same moment that you stir the bottom of the pond and muck it all up.
Yeah.
And I can assure you and everybody who's watching this that there's nothing that I can possibly say that will add to and better the silence. It would be a lot better if I just sat here and, you know,
right,
and looked sagacious. But you know, since the interview, and this is what we do, we interact in the wonderful, wacky world of duality.
Yeah.
So then we have words, and as long as everyone knows that the words that I feel compelled to say are not the truth, that this is not the thing that we're all talking about, because the moment that you talk about something is the very moment that you don't have it at all. It's ephemeral, and it slips on through your fingers.
Right.
And yet, as long as we agree, I suspect that we can't really talk about any of this. It in some kind of strange, inexplicable way, it makes it easy for you to then go ahead and start talking about it.
Yeah.
So you admit that we can't talk about it, and now we'll talk about it.
Right. It's like so we're going to go into fallible, ineffable territory. Is kind of
yes.
You know, and very true.
So the thing that I have begun to recognize about this whole area is that it's really a letting go, because you talked about not so much getting something new, but letting go of the beliefs and the concepts that you have held near and dear for these many years. When you start to let go of that, and keep on letting go, and then let go of letting go, just dropping it all. And the thing that I think is the most important thing, and yet the most difficult thing to let go of, is your ongoing and persistent belief in the reality and in the validity of your own separate personhood. Your belief that you are a separate person. And once you have that belief, and we all are raised in that, and that's what we're raised into. It's all about me, and it's I, and we have these I remember back in California they had this thing about self-esteem. We have to expand our self-esteem. And of course, at the core of that is a persistent belief that you are the thinker of your thoughts. And that from that you're also the feeler of your feelings, and that you're the speaker of these words, and that you're the doer of the action. And that is an underlying and ever-present kind of belief system that we all seem to live our lives out into, that we are the doer of all of this, and all of this stuff is happening to us.
Hmm.
So it's I've come to understand that maybe it's a good idea to look first at this relative world that you're showing up in, and reclaim a lot of stuff that you, up until this point, maybe had given away the power to.
Hmm.
For example, to reclaim and own the responsibility for everything that you think, feel, say, and do. To reclaim it all.
Hmm.
And after you do that, then you can just give it all up.
Hmm.
But if you think that somehow other people are hurting your feelings, other people are
Right.
making you angry,
Right.
that all of a sudden,
Right.
stokes the fires of dualism, where you put something out
Yeah.
there, power or somebody else or the other out there, and then
Right.
you can interact with them. And wait a minute, no, I have to really reclaim that. So uh, it seems like psychological health has to do with reclaiming that,
Yeah.
and you have to give up the story first of how you are right and about how other people have wronged you.
Yeah.
And your willingness to give that up, then you can, and that whole story in the relative, dualistic sense,
Yeah.
has as its core fear. It's all very
Yeah.
fear based. But to give that up, and then at that point, then you can maybe get into more of a spiritual quest.
Yeah.
And that quest is totally about and focused on the only thing that's really real, and that is love.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know where.
No, that's perfect. That's a beautiful answer. I remember when I was learning to do exactly what you're saying there, to let go of thinking that the rest of the world and the people in it and the circumstances in it were responsible for the happiness that was part of the happiness of Jeff.
Yeah.
And letting that go was actually a very heartbreaking and difficult process. I remember specifically the first time I came back from basically a couple of years away from home, and I'd been doing a lot of self-inquiry about this, and I arrived back home Christmas Eve to see my parents, and lo and behold, there were my parents, and I'd never seen them in this light before, but it was the first time that I saw that my parents also were suffering, seeking separate individuals, and that they too were not superhuman, and not, and they, nothing that they ever did, was purposely against me or for me. They were doing what they thought was right for them, and I've never had any issues with my parents, but there was something just, about letting go of that, of letting go of my what I thought who I thought my parents were, and what they were about, and then in that letting go, there was a letting go of that yet another element of Jeff, another element of my identity, and how I, was seeking for something with Jeff, with my family, with my social life. So I know exactly what you're talking about there.
So you learn to love the parents that you have instead of the parents that you wanted.
Exactly, that I imagined. Exactly.
Or imagined that they were.
Yeah, and it's a more real type of love where you embrace their full.
Their being is just how they are.
Exactly, including all of their faults and foibles, and yeah, that was. I mean, up to that point, there was definitely a. I was learning about what you're talking about with everyone else in my life too, of seeing that they too were just looking for fulfillment, even if that fulfillment that they were looking for was manifesting itself as something that was distressing me, or there was anger there, or there was some type of something that I was offended by. I had to not assign responsibility to them. I had to see it within myself, that I was ultimately responsible for that situation, and not be offended by it, not take it personally. Is that what you are pointing towards, Chuck?
Yeah. I think it comes really down to, or what's showing up for me now is an understanding that and I have to own and claim this.
Mm.
As I think, well, if I'm the dreaming dreamer, that means that I'm dreaming everything that I experience.
Right.
And all the people that show up in my life are my dream characters.
Right.
And for me to condemn them or criticize them in any way is pretty silly, because
Yeah.
they have arisen from who I am.
Right.
As have all the teachers, the great teachers, and all the great villains in history. They all come out of the core of my being, out of the heart of who I am. Kind of a cornucopia that just bubbles up there to the surface. And I'm not going to be attached to any of them, but I have to own them and embrace them all and love them equally as who I am.
Yeah.
And in that, suddenly it becomes love loving itself, and saying yes to everything and no to nothing.
Yeah. And so I'm going to seg into, because that is your like specialty, and you talk beautifully about that. And I said this, I had a meeting, a little group meeting 2 nights ago, and one of the things that's the truth and shocking and beautiful to say all at the same time is, there are 8 people sitting there. I was just like, there's only one of us here.
Yeah.
And I know you speak so poetically about that one, that dreamer, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that I personally, when I first started realizing that, and it really was sinking into my bones and my heart, it was a bit scary.
Yeah.
It was like,
you're the only one here.
You're the only one. I'm like, shit.
Yep.
This is like, either I'm vastly alone, or what is, what does that mean? That there's only one of us here.
Only one.
And to really dive deep in that, I think this is where the roots are, is that to dive deep into that terrorizes ego.
Oh yeah, ego does not want to go there, because wow, we're talking about imminent annihilation in the brilliance of what actually is. It doesn't want to go in there. It wants to have that separation. It lives for and revels in the play of duality.
Right.
It loves that kind of back and forth stuff. And if you take that away, if the other disappears in the realm of the ego, it's like, without you, I'm nothing. I got to have you out there.
Yes.
Because then I'm afraid of nothing.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's one of the challenges of the process of awakening, and the challenge of this coming to that unsettling realization that there's only one here, is that mind and ego and our identification is really caught up in it, and to undo it, to undo that that clinging and that fear is tough. There are parts of it that are tough,
It can be very scary.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I don't know. That's a just something that again, that you speak beautifully about, and that I think that is it's one of those areas, Chuck, which is how we started off talking about, that as soon as you start talking about it, it becomes difficult to really verbalize the full extent of that. It becomes, we're just stirring up the mud, as you spoke.
It's kind of like when you try to pull this thing apart and scientifically categorize it. It's like taking a butterfly, a beautiful butterfly, and pinning it down, and there you have the head and the wings and the body and the legs and stuff, and you can understand it all. But when you look at it, all you have is a pile of organic mush on this tray, and what happens to the beauty of the butterfly? It's gone.
Yeah.
So the more you get into it, it's kind of like it's set up this way because it's like a fractal. If a fractal, the deeper you go, it just opens up and there's more and more. It's endless. It's endless. It's like a cosmic video game because it renders as you go from room to room to room, the avatar there, and there's no end to it unless you just say enough is enough is enough.
Yeah.
Because the cosmic onion, you can peel off all the layers and skin layers that you want. There's nothing there. It just goes, it's all the way down until you stop. just have to stop. Just come to a full stop, and call off the surge.
Call
as
off
they
the surge,
say.
exactly.
Call off the surge. Don't go there anymore.
Chuck and I just went. I visited him on his lake a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And I so enjoyed doing that because this is such a beautiful thing for me, and is that I have called off the surge. There's no, so for me, I'd rather go fly fishing with Chuck on his lake.
Sure.
Then there's a, so that was so a beautiful thing where there's like, yes, the surge is done, and I'm just a fallible human being that does silly things and just trying to make my way in this world, but also with a certain kind of light-heartedness about it, and a lightness, and a clarity that is the background of all of the silliness that's out front. And but I'm happy to be in the silliness. I'm happy to drink beers with Chuck Hillig, and I'm happy to go fishing and do all of this stuff. That's just sort of like the outward play. I don't know what brought this on, as you said, it's the end of the search, because it's an odd thing, because I spent 20 years of my adult life doing spiritual things, going to meditations and satsangs and workshops and reading books and all and everything. And here I am, oddly enough, on the flip side of the coin, and like you do it, but there's this like utter detachment from it. Like I feel like I'm just a guy who has an audio video company and I go fly fishing, and but I'm not. But spirituality and religion is not really. How does one say this? It's not a dire, like, do or die interest of mine any longer. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Where like it's like it's not. I don't need my library of books anymore. I don't go sit with teachers any longer, and it's so freeing and liberating to be just a normal human being and not have to have called off the search.
Well, you awaken. You awaken. You don't awaken from the dream. You awaken to the dream.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And then you go, oh, this is all a dream. But
Yeah.
then you can go play with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can have fun with it.
Yeah.
And so you drink beer, so you get drunk, so you do this and do that and that and this, all that stuff. But that's part of it. And somehow it's what needs to be done. It's what is appropriate, and it's all perfectly, exactly right, for lack of a better term, and exactly as it should be.
Yeah.
There's no mistakes. You do not make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
No one has ever made a mistake.
Yeah.
You may think there are mistakes, but it's not. That's not even a mistake to think that there are mistakes.
Right.
That's perfect too.
Right. Yeah.
There's no non-perfect.
Yeah.
Just like there's no not God. Just like there's no not now.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. Right now. This is it.
That feeling of waking up in the dream, is that what you said, right?
To the dream.
To the dream, right?
Yeah, you don't awaken from the dream, but you awaken to the dream.
To the dream.
Oh, this is all a dream. This is all.
I think I have a similar way that I kind of look at it, is like it's like a video game where you've killed all the bad guys, and you're still in the video game. And so you're kind of like walking around in the halls of the video, and really kind of the only thing left to do is to help other people just finish off all the bad guys and so that they can be. I think you said to me the other day you had a phone call with someone and I'm gonna go save him from himself. You said something along those lines, So there's like, and that's the bad guy essentially, But I do have that feeling of oftentimes like I'm just in this, like Tomb Raider is one of my games that I like to play, and it'd be as if I've completed all the levels in Tomb Raider, okay, and I've gotten all the golden cookies and all the points and all the bad guys have been killed and I've gone through all the puzzles, and now I'm still in the game.
Yeah.
I'm still there, and so now I'm just basically kind of like taking a pleasant stroll through the emptiness of the game. And I know that sounds kind of odd, but it's the environment that is created there is beautiful, and it's pleasant to walk around in it. And I kind of maybe, in a sense, kind of feel that same way about this. For me, it's like when I talk about fly fishing, I love to go out in the middle of nature with water up to my knees, and to be playing in a little creek like a little boy in this empty video game and doing nothing. I always call it a beautiful waste of time. Fly fishing.
Well, that I know I like that. And
there's some that's blue collar for you. I'm not I'm there. So, well, let another. I've been doing these questions for the book, and getting loads of laughs about it. This kind of brings all this stuff, again back down to our blue collar level. What flaws do you like to flaunt, Chuck? What because people have still, I think, in our day and age, there's still some myth about purity and perfection and ideal notions and fantasies that we have about waking to the dreamer and discovering that you're nothing. Let's scrub clean. Let's scrub clean for everybody those notions. I, for one, enjoy a good shot of tequila every now and then, and I am definitely potty-mouthed. I get angry and I get stressed, if my dog breaks off of her chain and goes running down the street, God damn it, Lily, get back here, and I'm out the door. So I have these perfectly normal, I'm my wife and I get in arguments and we have our, issues, but that's all. That's what I'm saying, is that there's no perfection here, essentially. So what, Chuck, could you reveal that people, if you dare to?
Well, I don't. First of all, I don't believe in flaws. Mine are yours.
Right.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing bad that we do.
Right.
What happens is what happens.
Right.
If I move away from just being with it and become judgmental about it, then I'm going to say I should have done this and you should have done that, and a lot of shoulds and finger pointing. But if there's a finger pointing and an observer, then there's an observed. If there's somebody who's criticizing, there has to be somebody out there that is being criticized. So that's the wonderful, wacky world of duality showing up again. But what would happen if I just said, well, this is what's so, and I'm feeling this and I'm doing that, and give up requiring myself to somehow explain it or figure it out. I've gotten really clear that I do things, I have incredible thoughts, that if I ever acted out those thoughts,
yeah, we talked about that.
They would lock me up in a Tascadero for the criminally insane years ago and throw away the key. They go, oh my God, I can't believe. But all this stuff comes and it goes. It's like the waves. All of a sudden it's there and then it's not there anymore.
Yeah, right.
But I've noticed that it hangs around longer. Like the shadowy stuff we're doing, it hangs around longer if I say no to it.
That's right.
If I push it away, if I make it wrong, and I make myself wrong by association with it, if I say, oh no, I'm not that kind of person, that doesn't fit in with my personal spiritual myth about who I am. So I have to push it away. But then, of course, it wants to hang around longer. But if I just let it come and go, so I kind of look upon myself as riding out on the ocean of emotion. Now you see it, now you're up and down, and that's okay. But it's the attachment that creates all the mischief. It's the attachment to what I think I should be, or should do, or should think, or should say, or somebody else should. All those shoulds. It's the attachment that becomes the problem in all of that.
Yeah, that we're talking about the same exact thing. Is that I don't say no when I feel stressed about something. I don't say no to if something, let's say for instance with my business, if one of my employees does something wrong, I don't say no to letting him know that no, you cannot do that. Or to my son, it's like, look, no man, you've got to look for cars when you walk out on the street, So I don't say no to really anything.
You don't say no to saying no.
Yeah, I don't say no to saying no. It's all okay, like you said. It's all totally. There are no flaws. But here's why we're talking about this, because there's still a lot of people in pain. who still identify with flaws, who still think that there are flaws, who still think that, So it's such a relief to hear that no, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to welcome a certain type of wholeness into your life. Wholeness does not mean that you're flawless. You include those flaws in this.
No, Carl Jung said exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
He said, you're not working towards perfection, really. You're working towards wholeness.
Yes.
So,
I like that.
perfection is,
Yeah.
but wholeness that means
Right.
saying yes to your yeses, saying yes to your nos.
Yeah.
Don't resist anything, not even your own resistances.
Right.
Just welcome it all and go, and to let yourself off the hook that you have to explain it, justify it, defend it,
Right.
Understand it. Nope, you don't have to.
Right.
Just say yes to it. I don't know where it comes from.
Right.
I don't know where it's going. But here it is, and now it's not there anymore.
Now,
Back
this,
and
of
forth.
course, does not give one carte blanche to be an idiot. It does not give one carte blanche to, to do whatever he or she wants. There's I think that what comes with, in other words, what we're talking about here is because people could interpret that as like, oh, well, great, I can just be an asshole. I can do whatever I want, and and it's all good and it's all okay. I for one, I think that there's still uh, there, despite the fact that there's no right or wrongs, ultimately, I think here in this conditional reality, and by the games that we play in our social interaction with each other, there has to be some moral and ethical. I don't know if those are the right words, but in other words, no, you're not going to go do stupid things. There's a sure you can, but you're going to it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Essentially, you'll pay for it in one sense or another. So
Yeah.
I'm not being very clear on that. I guess what I want to say is that there's a right time and place for stress and anger, and then there's an overindulgence in it. I would say
A wallowing in it.
a wallowing in it. Yeah.
Well, I tell people they can do whatever they want. I said, you don't have to stop at red lights. You don't have to drive on the street.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You don't have to, not kill this. You can choose to do all that stuff, and there's going to be consequences.
Right.
And these are dream problems, and they're going to have dream solutions.
Yeah, thank
you.
you.
They're going to go lock you up for
40
years. You do that in a dream prison, and you're going to do all those dream years there. But it's all part of it, and just play that out. But do you really have any control over this? Do you have any? Are you reading a script? Are you, I know you're an artist and a painter. Are you drawing freely on the blank canvas of your life, or are you really only painting by the numbers? See, what kind of control do you really have? Well, if you think that you are really there, this personhood thing, to kind of loop it back to where we started from.
Yeah.
If you believe that you're a person, then you say, yes, I'm the one that's actually doing this and saying this and deciding that. You're not even here, though. At the core, only God or consciousness or oneness is really here. You're not even here. Consciousness that you really are is pretending that there is this body with these thoughts and all that stuff.
Right.
But it thinks, and you seem to have the thoughts. And it feels, and you seem to have the feelings, and it is the one that's speaking. Consciousness is speaking, and you want to take the credit for these words, and it does the actions, but you want to take the credit or the blame for the actions.
Yeah.
Hello, Gypsy.
Hey, Puss.
Hi, sweetie.
I think it was our cue. Was that our cue?
Maybe.
So, is there anything else, Chuck, that you would like to share with everyone out there that might be coming to a strange online event called Blue Collar Enlightenment? Come here, Puss, come here. Come on, get down. Come on. Thank you.
It's all good, and you could take one of those O's out. It's all God.
Yeah.
It's all just going to be fine. It is right now, and maybe the dream characters watching this right now don't think that it is, and
Right.
yet it is.
Beautiful.
And to sit in the middle of that, and just to
Right.
relax into the truth and the reality that this is it, and there's nothing that you have to do or struggle to or attain in order to be more of what you already are,
Yeah.
because you are this pure consciousness, and your nature is infinite, omniscient, omnipresent, immutable.
Mm.
I mean, you are that. You
Mm.
can't be more of that than what you are. So relax into the truth of that.
Right. Beautiful. Let's leave it at that.
All right.
Okay. Chuck, thank you so much.
Okay.
That was awesome. I appreciate it. I think Gypsy wants to say hi too.
Well,
right?
no,
Yeah.
sweetie.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Have a great evening or day. Bye-bye.